13. Good vibrations. Parker had put on a Rush video, and we were watching this long drum solo by Neil Peart. I closed my eyes and started playing with my energy. Then I thought about feeling Neil Peart's energy. So I started feeling his energy in my hands. But this time was a little different as I was seeing what the energy looked like in my head. Neil's energy felt a little like taffy. Not as stiff as taffy, but it felt like a controlled string on my fingertips and thumbs. His energy looked like different thicknesses of black lines that glowed this brilliant green color. I got the impression from Neil's energy that when he plays, he is very structured and very precise in his movements. I felt that he had been musically trained at some point and he was a perfectionist in his craft. That night, I experimented with feeling my own energy. My energy is soft, white, billowy, cloud-like, and has iridescent sparkles. I have asked other people who can feel energy to confirm this. I hadn't told these people what my energy looked like nor felt like. Later, I tuned into Travis Barker's energy, and it looked like and moved like a red Halberman spear. I got the impression that Travis had some training but was mostly self-taught. His movements were controlled, but that he was able to make more movements at one time, creative but with structure. Then there was John Bonham's energy, and it was gray and black, but it had a thunderous heartbeat thump. My lesson in playing with energy was an interesting one that ultimately led me to feel and see the energies of some powerful drummers. Why drummers? At that time, I had just began taking drum lessons and was more interested in drummers' energies rather than archangels and ascended masters. I was working with Catherine again on my issues. I was discovering that it was hard for me to connect with my feelings, especially when it came to dealing with any anger. I suppose, deep down inside, I was afraid of letting go, for fear I would lose control. I had the notion that admitting my anger existed was a bad thing. I was angry about being bad. Catherine told me that sometimes you must be bad for good reasons. I was always very passive, though I knew I needed to work on being assertive and dominant. It is a difficult role for me. I had been sensing for some time that this wasn't just from my present lifetime. I felt that some of my behavior was from a previous lifetime. I was requesting to have a soul retrieval done. What is a soul retrieval? It is a ceremony or ritual that is performed to retrieve parts of the soul that may have gotten lost at any time during this lifetime or a past lifetime, when something traumatic may have happened. The soul piece exists, never dies, in another dimension, but must be asked to return to the soul. At my request for a soul retrieval, Catherine dug a little deeper into my issues. She saw that in my last lifetime, I had been a black female slave. I was a house slave who worked in the kitchen and inside the house. I was beheaded. Catherine couldn't pick up why I had been beheaded, but I sensed that I had been killed for something that I didn't do. It had to do with something being stolen. Whatever happened in my prior lifetime, it had something to do with me not being believed, and it ultimately resulted in my beheading. I brought the energy of this traumatic event with me into this lifetime. A negative energy pattern that made me fear speaking up for myself. Catherine said it was an unconscious karma. Catherine and I discussed me and my boundaries. Since I had all these relationships in the past that were unbalanced, I was to give myself permission to set and keep boundaries in my relationships. Do you remember when I discussed having racing thoughts that would go through my head, and I saw patterns of behavior towards me? This was one of those patterns. I saw that I had been treated like a slave all my life. I heard stories of how I would help my mother take care of my brothers when I was only just out of diapers myself. When I was 8, I was left to take care of both of my younger brothers while my parents worked. Between 12 and 13, I felt like a maid. I cleaned the house daily while my parents worked. When I got married, it was the same thing all over again. But at one time, it became extreme when I had become a retail customer service manager and had both of my young children. My husband expected me to be Wonder Woman. Some days, I would work more than 12 hours, be expected to get the kids from daycare, and then come home to cook, clean, and take care of the kids. while my husband relaxed and did whatever he wanted to do.